My name's Neil. Hi, my name is Neil Parker. I'm an intern at Central Washington University, and this is going to be part 2 in my series on how to use the online citation tool Mendeley. So if you don't know from, if you're coming to us from part 1, by this point in the presentation, you should feel reasonably comfortable downloading files into Mendeley and installing it. Remember, if you have any problems with this step, Mendeley has a really good video and tutorial section, which I'm going to walk you through right now. So as you see here, this is Mendeley's page for videos and tutorials. They have getting started, importing documents, organization, generating citations, finding articles, removing duplicates, merge duplicates, and of course creating and using groups. All of these videos are pretty good, and these are some features that you might want to check out on your own time. My role really in this process is to explain a little bit how Mendeley works, what kind of features you might want to take advantage of, and what are some of the shortcomings in the system design. So let's go to Mendeley's main page. There's dashboard. So when you log into Mendeley, you'll be prompted with this dashboard page. We have our library, which is going to be our papers, and it brings this list up here. So as you know from earlier in the presentation, these are a list of things that I've downloaded from various online journals and put in my Mendeley account. You can see here, this is lived religion and civilization, and these are some other PDFs I put in. On this tab over here, it gives you the ability to organize these, and it puts you with all my documents, my favorites, which I've only selected 2 right now, my publications. So for example, if you wrote a publication and you haven't published it yet, what Mendeley will let you do is actually self-publish through their website. You just need to create the PDF and upload it to this folder. Now, the advantage of this is, of course, you can claim authorship, promote your work, and get statistics on readership data. And these are some folder tags over here. Creating folders is relatively straightforward. You just click the icon and literally type the name. So I am a folder. And it should come up here. So Mendeley's principal advantage compared to Zotero is it's really great for facilitating collaboration between different groups of students, and this is one of the main uses for it. So if we return to the dashboard, we see here our Groups tab. Here's a group I made. I'm going to create a new group, just sort of to walk you through how it works. I can enter group name, I enter group description, and you see this tab come up right here that says group type. These are different options. Private allows you to share references in full text. This is really, really helpful if you're working in a team of students and you need to sort of read through a common selection of PDFs. For example, if you're working on, say, a project for a management class and the team is doing a SWOT analysis, what this would allow you to do is put together a lot of examples or a lot of tables and different data that you can all put in one spot so everyone can see it. Obviously, this is really useful for a lot of group projects because you're going to avoid duplicating, everybody's work. If I upload a document to this folder, and everyone, I don't have to worry about someone else, taking the time to find the same thing, downloading it, and reading it. It's just there. Beyond this option, you have 2 other types available. One is invite only, which is not quite as desirable because it only allows you to share references. Because what you really want, right, obviously, is full text files. Is I want to be able to look at a file and I want to read through it. So invite only won't let you do that. And open I do not recommend because it's share references only and anyone else can become a member and start uploading things into your systems. So as a general rule, this is what you're going to want to click on when you're making a group. So the way Mendeley works is, unlike Zotero, it is a paid service. So you're only allowed to administer 1 private group at a time on a free account. And while this is a little bit frustrating, it's just the nature of the beast. If you're going to be using this tool a lot for a lot of different classes, a paid account might not be the worst idea out there. So here's my group that I made. You can see here are papers. I can upload documents from my library into this. Here's the tab that allows me to control my members. I can invite people from here. I can also search through here and I can manage my invites. This is our settings. So this tab is really only useful if you're looking to promote the group. Mendeley, of course, wants to sort of promote its more popular user groups, so it expects that for a lot of open groups, you'd be entering something here under details or categorize. But since this is a private group, you can kind of leave these alone. Web space usage is important. You'll notice that you only get 100 megabits of shared space. So when I, exceed 100, I either have to start deleting these materials or, you're not going to be able to add anything else in. Another important restriction is on these free accounts, it only lets you have up to 3 members at a time. So if you're looking, if you're working with a group of 4 people, you're going to have to get a little bit creative as to how this works. So this is one of the things on a personal level that I don't care about Mendeley so much. Zotero, if you remember from the earlier demonstration, is a pure open source software. Now what that means is anyone can come into Zotero and make modifications. At no point do they expect you to pay for your service, and it's very easy to kind of sort of use it to the fullest extent of its capabilities. A lot of things under Mendeley, features that you might want exist under paywalls, which is really frustrating. For this reason, although Mendeley offers a paper tab, I don't recommend searching through it. So the problem is these papers are only going to generate either abstracts or references. You can't actually read them, which kind of begs the question, why is this here? Well, it's kind of a funny story. Mendeley's original team of designers wanted to build this kind of search engine as an open source tool. So open source, for those of you who aren't kind of familiar with the jargon, is a type of publication that's not owned by any sort of publishing entity. It's just like a research paper that was done, that was peer reviewed, that's put up a line that anyone can look at. And this has become increasingly popular in lots of scholarship as people have tried to make their work more accessible to a larger number of readers who don't have the money to pay for journals. This was the original kind of design choice behind this paper section. It's just the new group of developers that ended up buying Mendeley got rid of it. So it's still buried, I believe, through here. I think if you go through your advanced search tabs, you can get an open source tab opened. It's just not very, from a research perspective, you want to be able to read the things you're citing. Like there's no point to citing something if you can't read it. At that point, you might as well use Zotero or EndNote or any of the other programs that are available to you through the website, or through your library's website, excuse me. So the last tab I want to draw your attention to briefly is our People tab here. Mendeley functions kind of as a sort of social media tool almost, in that you can follow people. It's similar to a Twitter account if you happen to have that. So for example, everyone who has a Mendeley account is obligated to follow Victor Henning. But there is something I want to point out about Mendeley that sort of should inspire a little bit of caution before you charge off and use it. Let's see here. So this is a professor of mine at UW. You can see he's not on here. So the thing about Mendeley is most of the people who are really active users are students. So you see our top result is a master's student, bachelor's, master's, PhD. There's not a lot of tenured faculty on this list at all. It's just, it's not that this is a good or bad thing. It's just something to be mindful of when you're using this service. That a lot of times students will be reading kind of things that, if you're looking to like self-publish research you've done, you can put it up on Mendeley, but if you really want to sort of generate traction, you should still take the time to talk to your faculty because, as you can see here, a lot of people that use Mendeley are students, not sort of professional scholars, at least in this capacity. Anyway, let's go back to this tab here. I just want to run through these features really quick, although we kind of covered this last time around. So this is my Mendeley desktop. This will not generally appear unless you specifically download Mendeley desktop. As a general rule, unless you're doing this off your home computer, you'll see a screen like this, the dashboard. The desktop is a little more versatile. It gives us more features here. I can add new documents with this tab. I can create folders here. I can also recommend related documents. So what it'll do is if you click this, it'll look through related documents for kind of like things that it recognizes, which are usually just tags in the system. So here it's found 7 related documents, which is not surprising since the last time we downloaded this in the first presentation, most of what we were going after was like biology sort of tags. And you can see that shows up here. Biodiversity, conservation, viruses. Oh, and this is global ecology. So what Mendeley also gives you the ability to do, which is kind of nice, is if you have a large library, you can set up some useful filters. You can filter by author keywords, by authors. So every author in my system is generated here. So like if I click on this, it gives me their paper. I can also build user tags, which you may or may not want to do. If like, for example, you had a class tag, you could apply it to these papers and it would give you a way to precisely retrieve it all by filtering it through here. The thing is Zotero will let you do this, but it's just better and more intuitive and a little bit faster. Publications is kind of, if you're looking for all publications, you can see it only recognizes one publication. And this is an issue, of course, with like importing metadata. We were only to actually import full metadata for one file. And the rest of these files, it's not recognizing a publisher, which from a citation perspective is kind of a problem. And from a filtering perspective, it doesn't really do you a lot of good either. So that kind of summarizes the Mendeley presentation. Remember, the videos tutorial here, which I'm going to go show you one more time just so we don't lose track of it, is a great resource for any kind of general questions or capabilities on what Mendeley does. What this presentation should tell you, though, is the kind of things you should use it for. Mendeley is very good at allowing students to collaborate on different papers and projects. It's a great way to share documents and a good way to avoid duplicating each other's work in a group context. In terms of a citation machine, Zotero is much better. It doesn't have the same kind of issues that sort of plague Mendeley in terms of paywalls. Its organizational system is a little more intuitive, and you also can build links. If you paid attention from Zotero Part 3, you'll notice that we can actually build URL links through our Zotero features to get us right back to the PDF. So there's no real advantage to using Mendeley in this regard. But unlike Zotero, it does give us a very good tool to share files with each other. And for that reason, it's worth considering if you're in a class that warrants that kind of collaborative research. Anyway, this concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to talk to your librarian or, consult this page here. Anyway, Neil Parker, signing off.